Off the back fence with Tony Kemp.
Very, very good, boys. Well, as the debate rages on about the state of rugby in the provinces, one thing is certain, that there's the need for change to an NBC model that currently is more out of date than not fit for purpose. If change is needed, then here are 3 critical areas that should be addressed before a ball can even be kicked. First thing is to give the All Blacks brand its own corporate identity and premises. While grassroots rugby struggles to make ends meet both on and off the field, the All Blacks continue to go from strength to strength as an identity and a brand. If rugby wants to rebuild its local game, then it's time to separate the brand from the organisation. AllBlacks.com is one business and New Zealand Rugby the other. Once the two are separated out, then the real work can begin. And here's the key changes that need to happen. Ownership. The NZR needs to regain full operational ownership of the grassroots game from clubs, schools, and provinces. Currently, the separation of pathways is the undoing of critical development both on the fields and for clubs and provinces trying to retain their identity. Schools need to go back to educating our kids and playing sport for fun. Currently, they have way too much influence over our talent, and if there are to be changes to a provincial model, it needs to start with taking back the game from high schools, some of whom seem more hell-bent on being great at rugby. Once that happens, then a clear provincial pathway model can be implemented from junior rugby through to clubs and into provincial. And here is where NZR, who now do not have to worry about the All Blacks, gets back to doing what they are responsible for. Pathways. Start by building better clubs that are hubs of the community and go back to helping create a better person through their sport is where I think the key lies. Strong club competitions from junior age groups through to seniors creates more competition and better players. And finally, remove the Super Rugby dinosaur and build a better NPC competition that rivals the NRL. We need to open the borders to create a 3-tier system that has national, provincial and state premier division and NZ and Australia feeder divisions. If this was the pinnacle of domestic competitions, then you would see Tour All Blacks return to their provinces, clubs fighting out competitions, and minor provinces feeding the NPC and offering the opportunities for good kids like Izzy and I were. The opportunity to go on to bigger and better things. The only problem is this, that die-hard provincial unions, stubborn NZR cronies in high schools that think they own rugby. And until we get that over the hurdle, well, the game will continue to demise.
Off the back fence with Tony Kemp.
Love it, Kempy. Passion, as always. And it's the big debate we've had for the last couple of days. Where do we go in terms of the model? Right now, the model is broken. We know that. We understand that. Now it's trying to find a solution to ensure our future is fixed and is in a good stead. I like it. I do. I absolutely like it. I think yesterday I wasn't kind of with these NPC having a standalone competition going out on their own agenda, but if they are controlled by an entity that will have control that is going to better ensure our future for New Zealand rugby is looked after, then I'm all for it. Look, dog, I don't want to see us going out at an NPC level and signing offshore and going offshore and trying to find the biggest players around the world. I don't think that's the fix. We've got to fix the product here, and the competitions where we start at NPC level. Okay, lads, so let's talk to Justin Nelson right now. We're going to talk to him about the current situation with the NPC. Mark Robinson's talk on the breakdown on Sunday has created a hell of a lot of debate, really, in terms of the NPC, the structures, standalone competition. Is there a place for Super Rugby? How do we go about getting people back to the stadiums to watch these games and be a part of it? Is there enough entertainment? Do we want to see big superstars from overseas playing in these smaller provincial unions? There's plenty to debate, and Justin Nelson's going to talk to us. Morning, Justin. How you doing?
Oh, very good morning. How are you guys?
We're good, mate. We're good. We had a great debate yesterday. Spoke to our awesome listeners and gave them the opportunity to send through their ideas and their opinions on what should happen to the NPC level. Super Rugby, Mark Robinson saying what they have right now isn't working. What's your take on it, mate?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's good to ask people. It's good to go to the fans and ask them their thoughts, because they are the most important people. So I would encourage everybody, including what you guys are doing to keep going to the fans and seeking their input and opinion. So well done to you. I think it's all about the ecosystem when it comes to sport. You need to strategically know what you want from each level of the sport, what you're aiming to get from each level of the sport, and how you're going to deliver each level of the sport. And until you sort those things out, it's very hard to gauge whether something's successful or whether it's failing. And I haven't seen the strategic plan, so I don't know. But from the outside looking in, what I do know is Super Rugby for me is probably in the wrong business. It's in the business of high performance. And don't get me wrong, there's a high performance element whenever you're dealing with an elite competition. But Super Rugby needs to be in the business of entertainment. If you look at the big competitions around the world, yes, they're elite, but they are all geared towards entertainment. And that's what the fans want. So NBA, NFL, EPL, AFL, NRL, they're all entertainment businesses. And I think when I look at it from the outside, I think that's the crux of the conversation right now in building the ecosystem. Are you in the business of high performance or are you in the business of entertainment? And for me, I think to really take the game forward, Super Rugby needs to be in the business of entertainment.
On that entertainment, I know from a Crusaders point of view, they tried to go down the road of having entertainment at the stadiums, you know, putting lights around there, the fireworks, the halftime shows. They had DJs and people at concerts pre-game, but they weren't getting a return on the investment. So they kind of put them off that. Are you saying that is that the road that they need to go down, make it more entertaining so that fans get a bit more than just the product of rugby on the field?
Well, I think we fall into the trap of thinking that the business of entertainment is putting on a show at the game. But if no one's turning up to the game, you can put all the shows on that you want. The business of entertainment is about ensuring that we aren't holding back the best players from playing, that people know that they can buy a ticket and they're going to go along and they're going to see the best, that we get to meet the players, we get to be included and acknowledged as fans, that we get competitive balance. I mean, competitive balance, fans need to genuinely believe that their team has a chance to win every time they turn up or every time they turn on the TV. If you get that one element right, if people are entertained and they believe their team has a chance to win, they're going to up their fandom. So these are things that aren't necessarily about putting on a band or putting on fireworks. It's about ensuring that the fan always feels like they're entertained, no matter where they are in the world, consuming that product at that time.
That tribalism that you talk about, if you look at the NBA, NFL, NRL, and the AFL, Justin, you know, when you're looking at their fan base, they are entertained every week because of that tribalism. I remember going through Melbourne, for instance, in an AFL weekend, and you couldn't see anything except AFL shirts. Is it outdated? Is Super Rugby outdated, and the opportunity for NPC to run an NRL model where it's just focused on franchised NRL NPC teams as opposed to competitions and high performance?
Look, it's a really good question, and it's one that's coming up a little bit at the moment. And I think it comes down to, if you look at NPC, what do you want it to be? That, for me, that's the question that needs to be answered, and it's probably hasn't been answered yet. It has to live within its means. That's the first thing. If you haven't got healthy and sustainable teams in any competition, they go under, or the competition goes under. And as a result, the players have got nowhere to play. So don't live beyond your means. Live within your means and really make sure that you're building a business that is healthy and sustainable. But good sporting competitions mean something to the people. So you need to stop and ask yourself, what is it that we mean it to the people? And then you play on those particular strengths. So work out what you mean to the people. And then I think the other thing is, it must be an important part of the ecosystem. So if you look at all of those competitions around the world, and quite often we talk about high performance in Super Rugby because these players go on and represent the country at the international level. But the same can be said about the English Premier League. Those players still go on and represent their country, but not not to the level of sacrificing what they do in the entertainment product, which is the EPL. So you need to have the best players being allowed to go out there and play and entertain and be a part of that product. And at the moment, I think there's a little bit of an imbalance here. Now, whether that then extends to what happens with NPC, I don't know, because I don't know what the strategic plan is. But it feels like at the moment there's either congestion or there's confusion over the competitions that are available. And the fans feel that. The fans are the first point of contact with regards to how they react and respond to what's going on in that ecosystem. And at the moment, there's probably a little bit of confusion.
How much of this lies on the players that are playing the game, Justin? Like, are you seeing enough from a player's point of view? The fan engagement, I heard you touch on that.
Yeah, look, that's probably one of the most important points here in any sport. The fact is that every single athlete in every single sport at every single level around the world all have one thing in common. Every single one of them, no matter how good they are, what level they've made it to, they all have one thing in common with each other, and that is they all started as a fan. Every single one of them. They started as a fan of the sport that they're playing. And I think the message that every athlete in every single level of the game needs to remember is the fans, and the way you connect with the fans is what is going to propel you to be better, a better person, a better athlete in your career, and potentially earn more money, earn a greater living through the course of your career as well. Don't forget the fans, because that's exactly where you started.
Well, that's, without the fans, there is no money, because they're the ones that buy your subscriptions and fill your stadiums. Just on that, Justin, I don't actually think we need to go and look overseas. If you have a look at, for instance, the FIFA World Cup that's happening down here in Australasia at the moment, but if you go to a Warriors game and you look at the crossover fan, okay, so I'm there every home game, and what I've noticed over especially this post-COVID time, is that the crossover fan has gone, and they're probably rugby fans, have gone, well, I'm much more enjoying the entertainment that the NRL are offering me as a product than going to a Super Rugby or a NPC game. I actually think the answers are right here on our doorstep. I just think it needs, and this is the question to you, the courage of a decision to be made to say we can't run both Super Rugby and the NPC. One has to go.
Yeah, I totally agree with your summation of the Warriors. I think what we're seeing right now in New Zealand, and obviously I come out of the Australian fandom model, and they're incredibly tribal over there. You mentioned AFL before. 1 in 23 Australians are a paid-up member of an AFL team. It's quite remarkable. The average attendance at AFL games is the 4th highest of any competition in the world. So that's how passionate and deeply entrenched tribally they are in their competition. From what I've seen in New Zealand the last couple of years, I think the best entertainment product in sport is basketball. I think basketball's doing a brilliant job. Breakers, SENZ NBL, we're seeing it in the Women's League now, Tohi, a brilliant job at entertaining fans whilst they are right there in the heat of the moment at these social events. Remember, fans want to socialise. 9 out of 10 fans go to an event to socialise. I think the Warriors are as close to a tribal fan base as you will see in New Zealand right now. They are right up the top for tribalism, and basketball's right up the top for entertainment. Other sports need to go and learn. They need to listen. They need to engage. They need to bring outsiders in to help learn these aspects of how to deal with, work with, and benefit from fandom.
Be keen to get your take on this, Justin, just based off what you've just said there about the Warriors and fandom and the social aspect, because your home ground is a big part of that, right? It is like being in your lounge, if you like. It is where you go. It is your common ground. There has been some talk about postseason, the Warriors maybe taking a playoff game to Eden Park. Cam George, I know, listens to the show. What would you tell Cam about that from your point of view? Is it worth getting 10,000 extra bums on seats for, bandwagon jumpers, or do you keep it where your home is?
Well, no, it always comes down to the benefit that's being put in front of the organisation at the time. It's a business. Let's not forget that sport is a business, and we're in the business of entertainment. And if we can entertain more people, and that extra 10,000 becomes an additional 10,000 tribal fans of that organisation, I would say 100% do it. Absolutely do as much as you can to deliver more of what you do, more of how you entertain to the fans. If you can bring in more fans, that's everybody's dream. I mean, we started this conversation talking about why are fan numbers dropping from other sports. If you can increase your fandom, 100%.
Have we been thinking about this from a former player's point of view and why it's going on? Can it be saved? I made the pathways through Hawke's Bay and went through Super Rugby and went on, and I feel like that pathway is different now. Can we do a U-turn and backtrack and go back to that old format, or can it be saved, Justin?
So my question back to you is, what are you trying to save?
I'm worried. I'm worried from a provincial point of view that we're losing it from a Hawke's Bay. I just got so much respect for Hawke's Bay and the provincial unions that I feel like they're just getting left out and getting left out of the picture.
Yeah, so I think if you go to the extreme of saying, can you save something? Of course you can save something. Because provided you make it important to the people and you're delivering to the people what they want it to be and what they need it to be, of course it can be saved. What you need to rediscover is, what does it mean to the people? Go and find out what it means to the people. Speak to them. Get to the coalface and engage with these people, because they are your customers. It's a business. Let's not forget that. So let's find out what's important to them and then work towards that. But it feels like at the moment in the ecosystem, it's really important that we work out what Super Rugby means to people and what it has to be to the people. We know what the All Blacks mean to people. And it's not just rugby, it's every sport. Every sport goes through a time when they need to sit back and they need to work out what they mean to the people. Go and speak to the people. Find out. If it means something to you, they need to come and speak to you. They need to find out what it means to you, and they need to work out whether they can... and I don't like using the word save, because I think every sport has a place and every competition has a place. But if it needs to be rejigged, if it needs a change, if it needs to go through a process of innovation, then do it. Change is the big thing in sport right now. Any sport that's not changing and innovating has already left the building. It's behind the 8 ball already.
Yeah, get out of the car park and get back in that building as fast as I can. Hypothetically, Justin, just one last question from me to you. And we know everything grows from a seed. What is that first seed that needs to be planted to get some action?
I think if I think about some of the projects that I've been involved in, what I can honestly say hand on heart is it starts with people who don't like change and who aren't willing to innovate or aren't willing to adapt. It starts with those people getting up and leaving the room. In all honesty, there are so many people in sport who are so afraid of change, who are so afraid of innovation, so afraid of doing things differently, that they continue to sit at the table and they hold up what has to be done to take a sports business into the new age, into the future, and riding the wave of this new demographic. The young people coming through do things, want things, and consume things differently. The people who are reluctant to change, the first thing is they need to leave the table.
SENZ. It's Kiwi for Sport.